1 in 4,096. These are the odds to get a shiny Pokemon. We'll have to conquer these odds multiple times as we traverse through 18 gym badges and a whole lot of bosses. All while doing a challenge where one misstep could cost us hours of our life as we'd have to release the Pokemon. So join me in the shiny-only Pokemon Violet Hardcore Nuzlocke. We get introduced to the starters, but unfortunately, the shinies of these are locked in these games. Therefore, let's lob our Fuecoco in a bin and progress further. Once we got the tutorial out of the way, we can start searching. And when I say I was at this for hours, it's no joke. I was genuinely starting to give up hope, thinking my game was broken, or maybe I just wasn't good enough to do this. But then, all of a sudden, a fletchling appeared. Finally, we have our first team member, and to be honest, it's one of the better ones we could have got in this route. And now, after almost 5 hours of game time, let us finally start this run. Now, I'm going to ask you guys something. Genuinely, this run took me so long. I put so much effort into it, and so much of my time went just hunting these. So if you guys wouldn't mind subscribing and liking the video, it really does help me out. Thank you a lot. Next up, we will have a tougher fight being Nemona, though. Her Pawmi is kind of on top of our typings as it's super effective against us. So let us get into the battle. Oh, well, that was quite easy. I suppose if you overlevel a bit, you can one-shot it. And that means now that we've got our Miraidon, we can start our next hunt. Now, I'm going to start hunting in South Province Area 3 as I like a lot of the encounters here. However, after about an hour, I realize the next challenge is going to be Cloth, and a lot of these encounters do get taken down by it. So after about an hour of trying, I actually end up switching to West Province Area 1 instead, as plenty of the encounters here cover our weakness. Then a few hours later, we are going to run into a shiny Mudbray. It kind of sucks as a Pokemon, but it's a shiny nonetheless, and it'll do the job we need of it. Now I'm finally ready to start. Let's begin by going and taking on Katie. However, Fletchling has become a gymnast and uses acrobatics to run through all of her Pokemon. We can then move our way onto Cloth, but Mudbray makes very easy work of that with a few bulldozes. Flopper is now ready to evolve, so it will become a Fletchinder. We can then make our way to Kitakami, where we can decimate all of the locals there. Now we're in Kitakami, I know the Pokemon we want. Therefore, I'm going to grab the ingredients for an egg sandwich to increase flying type spawns for Yanma. Upon grabbing the ingredients, we make it to Kitakami and we found a Spinarak. And because this is a Nuzlocke, we have to stick to the rules, and now we cannot get the Yanma. Now, I'm not going to complain because at least I didn't have to waste a long time. I'd only been hunting in Kitakami for about an hour before I had the sandwich idea. Therefore, we've got a shiny, but it's the wrong blue boy. And with that, let us make our way onto the next gym leader, being Brassius. We're going to start off with our Mudbray, which against the grass gym, you might think is done, but we're doing this so we can get Mega Drained into, which cannot take us out, and set up a Stealth Rocks. From there, we can switch into our newly acquired Pokemon, being Spinarak, who won't take much damage at all. We can then set up an Infestation, doing a bit of damage to it as it still tries to Mega Drain us. However, we're going to switch into Plopper now. Unfortunately, it'll get Sleep Powdered on the switch in. However, as you can see, even though we're asleep, it does no damage to us. Like, literally 2 health we lose. Once we wake up, we will get a Swords Dance off, and then we'll just take the Petlil out with a Acrobatics. Smoliv is then going to come out, and this thing has 0 chance of putting us to sleep, which is why I took the Petlil out, because I didn't want my time wasting. This will allow us to fully set up, and then unfortunately for Brassius, all his Pokemon will get one shot. From here, we will have to take on another challenge though, and that is going to be Bombirdia. It's going to start off by attacking into us with a plug, doing decent damage as we use Iron Defense to raise our defenses, and then our leftovers will give us some health back. We'll then protect in order to not get damaged and heal a bit more. It then switches to Rock Throw though, and although it crits, meaning it's going to do decent-ish damage, it doesn't do too much because we resist it. and we can then heal and use the same protect strategy to get even more health. After this, we can finally maximize our attack, meaning that it can't break through, and then we can just use the protect strategy while also throwing rock throws at it to do big damage. We're still pretty healthy by the time we get the second one off, and once the second one's done, we're faster, therefore we'll outspeed and we'll knock it down and start the second phase. In the second phase, it almost always torments the Knackley first. We went for rock throw. Oh, thank God it didn't come our way. That actually was a risk that I took there that might have taken us down. But at least it lets us set up a substitute and Knackley can do some decent damage with a smackdown. It then decides it really doesn't want to attack us, so unfortunately for it, it does mean it's free as our Rock Tomb's super effective, so we'll end up taking it down. Arvin is then going to show us his Pokemon being a Mabostiff, but it's not shiny. That's a no from me. Looking at the next battle being Giacomo, unfortunately, I can't think of a way to get past it like this. Therefore, we're going to need to start the next hunt for another Pokemon. And I know I want a fighting type, therefore what we're going to do is we're going to make a sandwich to give ourselves fighting encounter. Damn, I made that good. It looks beautiful. We then get started. The clock is running up, but eventually we will run into this beautiful blue Mindfu. Would have been better if it was a Riolu, but I'm not going to complain as it is going to be the key for us to progress. This was definitely the longest hunt we've done with nearly 7 hours of in-game time. And with that, let us move on to the next battle being against Giacomo. We're going to lead with Mudbray, who will get hit with a Metal Claw, but then we can retaliate with a double kick and take it down. This leads us into the Reveroom, who gets hit with a Wicked Talk, but we equipped a Citrus Berry in order to heal ourselves and can Bulldoze, lowering a bit of speed and doing some damage. Thanks to the berry, we can survive one more, allowing us to get off yet another Bulldoze. However, unfortunately, we can't stay in here, so what we're going to do is switch into our new team member, Punchy, who tanks it beautifully. Punchy is knocked low, but we had a berry equipped to heal ourselves, and on top of that, we taught it Drain Punch, so every bit of damage we're doing, we're getting our health back, and he just can't out-damage us from this point, so we take him down. We then do have another fight in Kitami, but we make very short work of her, only needing one Pokemon to take everything out. From here, Spinarak is now finally ready to evolve, and it is going to become a Ariados. Nemona thinks she can do something, but Punchy is just too strong at this point and will annihilate her entire team. And with that, we will get led onto the third gym leader battle being against Iono. We're going to lead with our Donkey as she leads with her Wattrel, which is going to pluck, doing decent damage, but we can retaliate with a Rock Tomb, one-shotting it, and then getting a bit of health back by using our leftovers. Belly Bolt will come out next, and after we use Protect to get a bit more healthy, we can knock into it with a Bulldoze, which is going to do about half health. We'll then Protect in order to get a little bit of health back, but unfortunately, Belly Bolt will go down on the next turn. Next up is going to be Luxio, and its Intimidate is pretty rough. On top of that, it bites into us and does get a flinch. The next turn, it hits us pretty heavy, knocking us low, and we can get off a Rock Tomb to lower its speed. Knowing I can't stay in, what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch into our Mindfu. Bite really doesn't do much to Mindfu, though. From there, we can bulk up, putting a boost to both our attack and defense as it sparks into us. The next turn goes the exact same, except now we are in the red, so we're in danger of going down. Therefore, we're going to switch to Drain Punch, and that will one-shot the Luxio. Next up is Miss Magius, which we normally wouldn't be able to hit, but because it terrestrialized into the electric and goes for a Hex, knocking us low, we can Drain Punch into it, knocking it for literally a sliver. Next turn, it will use Confuse Ray in an attempt to stop us getting through, and thankfully, we hit through, and that is how we obtained the third gym badge. We want a new encounter now, so let's make our way onto the open sea to try and get a water type. After about an hour and a half of searching, we are going to manage to run into a Finizen, which means our dreams of Gold and Magikarp are gone, but it's a solid encounter nonetheless. Now that that's done, we'll move on to the Mela fight. However, if you've ever taken Mela on with a water type, you know how easy this battle is. We've then got Earthworm, but any of you that have used a fighting type that happens to know Aura Sphere, well, you already know how this goes. I feel we need a bit more fire in the run though, so let's eat a sandwich and start hunting for a dragon type. This makes loads of these beautiful little dragons spawn, and it honestly doesn't take too long at all before we find our yellow and pink hero. However, this ends up being a really risky maneuver as this thing just doesn't want to be caught and almost takes a few of my Pokemon out, plus starts boosting its stats, getting even scarier. Thankfully, enough time has passed where we can lob a timer ball at it, and we do manage to catch the bugger, but it was close. With that though, we do have a full team. We then end up taking on Kieran, and although this does end up being an extremely easy battle, taking out his last Pokemon will actually overlevel our starter, meaning we can't use it for the next battle. He then is going to get angry and will unleash the Loyal 3. However, these again are shiny locks, so we do not care about them. Our donkey is now finally ready to be ridden into battle though, as it evolves into a Mudsdale. And with that, let us move on to the next gym battle, being against Kofu and his water types. He'll lead with Veluza as we lead with our new team member, but unfortunately the slash on the start does end up critting, which kind of ruins our entire plan as we wanted to set up some iron defenses. Ruins our plan because now when we set up a substitute, we're on incredibly low health and we don't have another iron defense. So even though we managed to survive one with our sub, allowing us to get to +4, its next attack will cause it to fade, and we used an iron defense, so we really can't risk anything from here. Slash isn't doing too much, allowing us to set up one sword stance, but you're seeing how unhealthy we are. We would actually be gone if it wasn't for our leftovers. If that crit hadn't happened, we'd have been able to set up to full, but unfortunately we need to start attacking now, and because we've not been able to set up, it takes us 2 to take it down, meaning we're really low by the time we take it out. Wugtrio's Water Pulse is going to knock us to 1 health, almost taking us out, but we will one-shot it at least. Now, I don't think I need to tell you, Crabominable will take us down, so what we're going to do is we're going to switch out. Bringing in our fish because I'm expecting a Crab Hammer, and at least the fish will resist it. Even though we resist it, though, it does do big damage because it went for Slam instead. From there, we can use a Charm, and it will slam into us again, allowing us to survive on 1 HP for the second time this turn, but obviously we're not staying in, so we'll bring in Ariados. Ariados tanks it pretty well, but now that Ariados is in, he's decided to switch to Crab Hammer, which does a lot more damage, and our Lunge, although it hits and loads his attack, doesn't do much. Unfortunately though, there are no other choices here. We literally have to let a Pokemon go down. Nothing can survive an attack. So unfortunately, it is bye-bye to Ariados here. From there, we'll bring in Punchy as he has led us to many victories in the past. We go for a bulk up in order to somewhat survive the Crab Hammer coming in. And then the next turn, we can Drain Punch, which is going to get us all our HP back. You've seen us survive a Crab Hammer before, but what? No, 2 crits in 2... Oh my god, no. We've lost 2 team members because of 2 crits in this battle. That sucks. Literally, Punchy was one of our greatest team members as well. I know the Ariados didn't do much, but all I needed to do was Sucker Punch with the Ariados, and we wouldn't have lost the Minefu here. That's completely a misplay on my part. At least we can have Finizen come out and finish it off with the Disarming Voice, but Jesus Christ, we've lost a third of our team in one battle. And as I said at the start of the run, if we lose a Pokemon, we have to release them. This really sucks. I spent hours of my life looking for these, but the rules are the rules and they have to go. We need to start another hunt as we need to get closer to being a full team again. And this time I want a Steel type, so we make a sandwich in order to heighten that chance. Now, when I tell you this hunt was torture, moving around the desert, losing visions to sandstorms, and just the pure time we spent in here, we ended up passing 31 hours, meaning we've spent almost 9 in just this one area. And then from the corner of my eye, a little green bugger appears. A Bronzor. Welcome to the team. You're exactly what we need. Instantly, we can move on to evolving it into a Bronzong. Now, when I tell you this is the perfect encounter, I mean it. For Atticus, this thing literally cannot be touched and is allowed to sell for free. It is literally a brick wall against this guy. We can then make our way into Kitami and take down the Loyal 3, but all of them really don't give us much trouble, so we'll just skim past it. From there, Fletchinder is going to want to evolve, and so is Kamao, so we have 2 new evolved team members, one of which being its final form. We then have the Larry battle, but again, turn, we bring back our brick wall in Bronzong, and it really can't touch us. We've got Carmines, we've got Iron Defense, we've got Substitute. From here, once you're fully set up, obviously we make very short work of all of his team thanks to stored power being insane. Now, that does instantly move us onto another battle, being against Nemona, and I thought the same strategy would work, forgetting one little detail that the Lycanroc has Bite. Meaning, we're actually too low and we're not set up well enough, so we've got to bring our Hakamo. It resists the Bite though, and because we've run around so much searching for Pokemon, guess what? Friendship gets in the way a lot, allowing us to dodge an awful amount. Really, this shouldn't be a mechanic, honestly. But it will mean Soap is free against Nemona for the foreseeable future, so obviously we're going to skim past all the battles until the champion one. We'll then make our way back to Kitakami, where we will make insanely short work of Kieran, and Ogerpon thinks it can do something as well, but honestly, it's too weak. The Loyal 3 were harder, so obviously you're easy. From here, we can now get a friend to get into the Union Square and evolve our Finizen into a Palafin. Although it doesn't look too different right now, it will in the future. With that, we might as well make our way on to the next gym battle, being against Ryme and her ghost types. She's going to start off by sucker punching our Plopper, and then Plopper's going to flame charge into the Mimikyu, breaking its disguise. Mimikyu will then try and slash, but will dodge it, so it doesn't matter. And then Mudsdale can hit pretty heavily with an Earthquake on the pair of them. Next turn, I don't want to risk an Icy Wind, so we will Acrobatics into the Banette, taking it out. And then Mimikyu will attack Mudsdale, not doing much, and Earthquake will take it out. Next up is going to be her Toxtricity and her Houndstone, and thankfully her crowd gives us a boost because of how awesome we are. She terrestrializes Toxtricity, and we acrobatics into it, not quite taking it out, but the Hyper Voice isn't enough to finish us off either, and then Houndstone is going to disappear. Earthquake will then come in from Mudsdale, missing the Houndstone, but it will take out the Toxtricity. We then protect with Plopper, and because our speed has been rose, Donkey actually outspeeds, and I protected the wrong Pokemon because it goes into our Donkey. However, now Houndstone is out in the open. It is going to be taken out because both our Pokemon are faster and both could one-shot it at this point. We're then going to have the battle against Iron Treads. We'll start off with our Palafin, who manages to dodge the Rapid Spin because of friendship and flip turn into our Mudsdale. The next turn, Mudsdale will be hit with an Iron Head, which will flinch it. And the exact same happens the following turn, so now it's no longer safe to stay in. That is good news though, because for the first time in this run, you guys are going to get to see the 0 to 0 form Palafin has. From here, all it needs to do is use 2 Jet Punches, and it will finish Iron Treads off. From there, our Hakamo is now finally ready to evolve into its final form, being Kommo-o. Kommo-o isn't exactly the next counter, though, because we've got the Psychic Trainer being Tulip. You know what happens to be the counter for it, though? It happens to be the beautiful Bronzong. You've seen it sell before, it does the same again, and the leftovers work beautifully. I then thought it would be really cool because we're not allowed to terrestrialize in this run, so if we finish them all off with Terra Blast, it would be awesome. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be affected by my stat boost, as it does next to nothing to any of them. Meaning, although it is quite the slog to get through her, we do manage to make it, but it became very close at times, us almost being taken out once or twice. And to put a neat little bow on Kitakami, Talonflame annihilates Carmine, and that will finish us the DLC. And there really isn't too much to do before the next battle, so let us get into the battle against Grusha. She leads Frostmoth, and we're gonna lead with Bronzong yet again. However, I was expecting a Tailwind, but she goes for a Bug Buzz doing big damage. I can't mind. This makes a difference as it does a lot more damage than intended. Next turn, they will go for a Tailwind, which is a bit annoying, but at least I'm going to get off another Carmine for free. As you can see, though, even with these, it's not like Bug Buzz isn't doing much damage to us. And although we do manage to get fully set up, as you can see, by the time we do it, we're incredibly low, so we're just going to have to hit off with a Flash Cannon. It just so happened to time very well with the Tailwind petering out, so at least that's good news. From here, we've got the Beartic, and I'm expecting an Earthquake, so we're going to switch into Plopper. Unfortunately, it gets hit with an Aqua Jet, and on top of that, it's a critical hit. From there, I don't want to risk anything else, and I know it's going to use an Aqua Jet, so we'll go into Kommo-o. And why did it Icicle Crash? Why? Right, okay, we're going to need to switch into Palafin and hope we can do this. Yeah, Palafin's not taking too much damage. That's great, so we can start using a few charms. Once we've knocked all its health down, we can safely switch into our Kommo-o, and then we'll survive the earthquake and use a Drain Punch to get back up into the healthy. Plus, it missed its Icicle Crash, which is ideal, as it is going to allow us to set up a Dragon's Dance next turn, taking minimal damage. These turns are going to repeat themselves, however, it is knocking us incredibly low now, so what we'll do is we'll switch to Drain Punch again, finishing it off. Titan is then going to come out, but I think at full health it can't take us out, so we'll Drain Punch. Not that we'll get to find out anyway, as we do one-shot it. Altaria just doesn't have the bulk of Titan, so you know we're going to one-shot that also, but Jesus Christ, this was a close fight. My plan was terrible. Nearly lost our entire team just to that little bit, and then a couple crits which made it worse, but at least it's got us the final gym badge. From there, we are going to have the next team star battle being Ortega, but if you didn't know, it's a fairy type, and we have a steel type that loves setting up, so obviously we can max out a load against his starting Pokemon and then sweep through the entire team. Wait, hold on a minute. That looks a bit different. Oh my god, we weren't even hunting, we were just on the way to Eri, and we found a shiny Pyro. I nearly walked past it because I thought it was just a female until the females pops up. Now we've got it, and we've got a full team again. From there, we do then have another battle, and that is going to be the Eri battle. However, she is yet another victim of the Bronzong wall. From there, though, we are going to have the final Titan battle being Dondozo. We're going to use Clanging Scales, which I thought was going to do a lot more damage, and it reduces our defense, which isn't great, but it attacks into the Squovert. Greedent will then use a takedown against it, and next turn we can Drain Punch, doing decent damage as Greedent attacks again. We're going to knock it into the red, and it's finally changed its attention to us, but it doesn't do too much, and it's knocked to a Sliver, so obviously Dondozo goes down. This will lead us into something a bit scarier though, and that is going to be the Tatsugiri. I use Clanging Scales again because this thing's a special attacker, so the reduced defense doesn't matter, but we still don't do too much. However, once you add the Greedent's attack in, it's almost knocked less than half. We then do the same again, but it's focusing its fire on Greedent, so we'll take it out. And unfortunately, that has sealed the fate of the Tatsugiri. We land a crit, but we didn't even need it, and that is the final Titan down. Following that, we do end up taking on Clabble, Penny, and Arven, but we're just going to skim past them because, again, we managed to sell for free and take all of them down with ease. And with that, we are going to make our way onto the Elite Four. Now, I really wish I could say to you guys, this is insanely tough, but all of the Elite Four suck. Like, I'm not joking when I tell you, I literally managed to solo all of them. So let's just skip ahead and move right on to the Gita battle.
Oh, what's that? Bronzo is just absolutely insane, and because she leads with this battle, she literally can't do anything to us either.
Well, this is a very anticlimactic ending. No, I said we would come back to Nimona on the champion fight because we might have a different strategy. Guess what? I lied. It's the same strategy. So again, let's make our way onto Area 0. But we're not just going to take on Turo and end the run, because in Area 0, there's something called Paradox Pokemon, and I want one. We've got the ingredients from before, so we can make that egg sandwich that we wanted for the Yanmar, and this is going to make Iron Jugular spawn more. Like, literally look at all of these. There's so many of them spawning in.
One eternity later.
And then a whopping 4 hours later, we run into a beautiful silver machine. We're going to catch it with ease and give it the name Freedom, because now we're free from the run and we can take on Turo. We're going to start off the battle with our Palafin, and it does get hit pretty heavily with a discharge, but luckily we had a berry to at least get it somewhat healthy. And we flip turn because I want our team at full power for this battle. This will end up bringing out our Talonflame, who will finish the job with an acrobatics. From there, Iron Thorns is going to come out, and expecting an electric move, we're going to switch into our Donkey because its ground type means it's not going to duo, but Stone Edge comes our way. Luckily, it doesn't do much, and then Iron Thorns is going to Earthquake us, but unfortunately, it can't survive the same attack when we do it to it. Next up is going to be Iron Bundle. So the first turn, we are going to switch into our Bronzong because it always uses Snowscape. Oh, it used Freeze Dry. That's really weird. I'm used to seeing Snowscape here. Oh, well. Because it's so fast, I used Gyro Ball, expecting that to do something. Obviously, it did Snowscape this turn, but we don't do much damage to it. It then decides it just wants to spam Snowscape. And we switched to Psychic, so we're doing a bit more damage now. Therefore, we take it out really for free. This AI's AI is really weird. It's going to bring the Iron Jugulus out, which is going to start off by using a Flamethrower against us, and our Gyro Ball doesn't do as much as I want. However, now it's switched to Dark Pulse, almost taking us out, and we've knocked it under half. Now, I know it's the last battle and I could just sack, but I don't want to. I don't want to lose him here, so we're going to switch into the superior Iron Jugulus, ours, because it's shiny. We did equip the booster energy, so we will get a special attack boost from our ability, but the Flamethrower on the coming in does manage to burn us, which really ruins our plan. It then air slashes us as we flash cannon, but it just manages to survive, for goodness sake. And then on the next turn, it's going to end up air slashing again and getting a flinch off on us, meaning if we stay in, we go down. So what we'll do is we'll switch out into Talonflame again, who will dodge it thanks to the power of friendship, almost as if he's a Yu-Gi-Oh character. And from there, we can take it out with an Acrobatics. Iron Hands will then fake us out and will Acrobatics, but it really doesn't do much. And Thunder Punch almost takes us out. It's literally because of friendship we survive. But at least Flame Body activates here. Now we know it's going to be doing half damage. It's safe to switch into a few things, so we'll bring in our Como-O. Obviously, Thunder Punch doesn't do much to it, but it gets the paralysis. Why am I having such bad luck at the end game? It Drain Punches us, doesn't do much, and we're going to retaliate with an Aura Sphere, doing a decent bit to it. On the next turn, we're going to end up using a Drain Punch just to get a bit more health back, because we know afterwards it will die to its burn damage. This will lead us into his final Pokemon, being Iron Valiant. Now, this thing's a Fairy type. We're 4 times weak to that, so we're not staying in here. We'll switch into our Mudsdale, as unfortunately we've kind of got to let something go down, but it dodges. And then on the next turn, a Brick Break misses, allowing us to get an Earthquake off. And suddenly we've gone from needing to sack our Donkey to it managing to win us the run just because it managed to dodge them attacks. I just thought it was going to get a bit of chip damage, then go down, but it didn't. And that's how we beat a shiny-only Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Violet.